Imagine this. You wake up one morning, ready to enjoy a peaceful day, when suddenly you'd hear the unmistakable sound of your garage door opening. But it's not you doing it. Someone else is inside. And it's not just anyone. It's your HOA Karen, the woman everyone in the neighborhood fears, known for trying to control every little thing. But this time, she's crossed the line. She's in your garage, and she's coming for your Lambo. You've seen her lurking around, complaining about everything from the color of your mailbox to how your lawn looks. But today she's taking matters into her own hands, attempting to see something that's none of her business. And what she doesn't know, someone's already there, standing guard, ready to stop her in her tracks. As she moves closer to the car, you can feel the tension building. What will happen when she realizes she's not alone? What will she do when the person guarding your Lambo shows up and confronts her? The stakes couldn't be higher, and the drama is just beginning. Will she get away with her plan, or will this be the day the tables turn? Stay tuned to find out. You see, it all started a few weeks ago when I moved into this quiet little neighborhood. At first, everything seemed perfect. The streets were lined with nice homes, and everyone seemed friendly. But then I met Karen. She's the self-appointed HOA enforcer, always ready to remind people about the rules. She's the type who takes her authority way too seriously, making sure everyone's grass is trimmed exactly right, and that no one dares park a car that's too flashy. And as you might guess, she wasn't too thrilled when she saw my Lambo parked in the driveway. At first, I thought it was just the usual passive-aggressive comments. Maybe she was just jealous. I don't know. But when she started leaving notes on my door about compliance issues and violations of HOA guidelines, I started to get a bad feeling. Still, I figured if I ignored her, she'd eventually back off. Big mistake. Then, last week, things escalated. I came home from work to find her standing right by my garage, glaring at my car. She didn't even try to hide her dislike. "That car's too much for this neighborhood," she said, her eyes narrowing. That's when I realized she wasn't just annoyed. She was on a mission to get rid of it. And that's when I decided to take extra precautions, never imagining it would come to this, her actually breaking into my garage. Now, as I stand there, watching from the shadows, I'm wondering how far she's willing to go. What happens next could change everything. The moment I saw Karen slip through the side door of the garage, my heart skipped a beat. She was moving quickly, like she had done this before, and her eyes were scanning the space for my car. She knew exactly what she was after. I couldn't help but feel a surge of frustration. How far was she willing to take this? What if she actually had the power to seize my Lambo? Was she really that twisted? But I wasn't just standing there. I'd made sure to leave a few surprises of my own. A few days ago, I installed a security system after noticing Karen hanging around the neighborhood a little too often, snooping and making calls to the HOA about everyone's violations. I had a feeling she was going to try something drastic, and I wasn't going to let her win. But now, watching her tamper with the lock, I couldn't help but wonder if I'd done enough. I had a choice to make. I could confront her directly, face to face, and risk escalating the situation, or I could keep my distance, hoping my security system would catch everything on camera and provide proof of her trespassing. But as the door to the garage creaked open, revealing my Lambo in all its glory, I knew I couldn't just stand by and watch her take this any further. My fingers hovered over the phone, ready to call the cops, but something told me I should wait a little longer. Out of nowhere, I heard a noise behind me. I froze, heart pounding in my chest. Was it one of my neighbors? Or worse, was someone else here to help Karen? Whoever it was, I needed to be ready for anything. The sound behind me grew louder, and my pulse raced. Was it Karen's partner, or someone else who was helping her with this crazy mission? I turned my head, trying to stay as still as possible, hoping it wasn't something worse. The tension in the air was thick, like the calm before a storm. My instincts told me to stay quiet and hidden, but I couldn't just let Karen get away with this. I needed to act fast. Suddenly, I heard footsteps coming closer. My hand gripped my phone, ready to call for help if necessary, but before I could make a move, a voice broke the silence. "Is everything okay over here?" It was Kyle, my neighbor from a few houses down. He was walking toward the garage, probably out for his usual evening jog. I felt a slight relief at first. Maybe I wouldn't have to confront Karen just yet. But as Kyle approached, I saw the expression on his face change from casual curiosity to confusion. His gaze shifted to Karen, who was now at the front of the garage, fumbling with the car keys like she was about to drive my Lambo off. "Karen?" Kyle's voice was low, his eyes flicking between her and me, now realizing what was going on. Karen froze, her eyes locking onto Kyle. For a split second, it looked like she was going to make a run for it, but instead, she stood there, her face twisting into a mask of anger. "This car is an eyesore in this neighborhood," she snapped, her voice shaking with frustration. "It has to go." Kyle took a step forward, clearly not sure whether to step in or back away. My heart was racing, and I was caught in the middle of this standoff. The silence that followed felt suffocating. I knew I couldn't let this go on any longer. The clock was ticking, and one wrong move could escalate everything. What would Karen do next? Would Kyle help me, or would he side with her? My next move would decide everything. Just as the tension between Karen and Kyle reached a boiling point, something unexpected happened. A car engine roared to life, loud, angry, and unmistakable. I spun around, my heart leaping into my throat. The sound was coming from the street, and in the blink of an eye, a black SUV screeched to a stop right in front of my driveway. My eyes widened as the door slammed open, and out stepped none other than the HOA president, Mr. Thompson. I'd heard rumors about him, of course. He was the one who backed Karen's every move, enforcing rules with a passion that bordered on obsessive. But seeing him in person, standing there with his arms crossed, made it clear this wasn't just some random complaint. He'd been involved in this whole ordeal from the start. "Karen, what's going on here?" Mr. Thompson's voice was calm, but his eyes were cold, scanning the scene with a hint of calculation. Karen, caught off guard, quickly straightened up, almost as if she'd been waiting for his approval. "This car is a violation," she said, her voice wavering. "I was about to take care of it. The HOA made it clear it needs to go." I could hardly believe my ears. Karen had been acting alone until now, but the presence of Mr. Thompson made everything feel different. It wasn't just a petty neighbor dispute anymore. It was a full-blown attack, backed by the HOA. My car, my property, everything was at risk, and the situation was rapidly escalating. Kyle looked back and forth between me and the two HOA officials, clearly unsure of what to do. The confusion in his eyes deepened as Mr. Thompson's gaze shifted toward him. "You're not getting involved in this, are you, Kyle?" he asked, his voice icy, like he was daring Kyle to speak up. I could feel the walls closing in. Karen, Mr. Thompson, and now, who knew what other allies they had in this HOA system. My Lambo wasn't just an eyesore to Karen anymore. It had become the symbol of a much larger conflict. The stakes had gotten even higher, and now I had no choice but to decide what I was willing to risk to protect what was mine. The game had changed, and I was standing in the middle of it all, unsure of how it would play out. The air felt electric as the tension between us all reached its peak. Mr. Thompson's icy gaze locked onto me, but I refused to back down. My heart was pounding in my chest, my mind racing with the weight of what was happening. I couldn't let Karen or the HOA take my car, or my peace of mind, without a fight. Before I could say anything, Kyle stepped forward, surprising everyone. "I don't think this is right," he said, his voice steady but firm. "This is over the top. You can't just take someone's property because it doesn't fit your idea of a perfect neighborhood." Mr. Thompson's face darkened, and Karen looked like she might explode, but Kyle didn't back down. "I've been watching you guys. You've pushed everyone around, but you've gone too far this time. I won't stand by and watch you steal someone's car." The silence was deafening. For a moment, no one spoke. Then, just when I thought Karen and Mr. Thompson were going to retaliate, a loud crash rang out from the direction of my front door. We all turned, startled. Standing there in the doorway was my best friend, Jake. He had a crowbar in one hand and a smirk on his face. "Didn't think you'd mind me crashing the party," he said with a wink. "I was just making sure no one tried to take this car." Jake wasn't just any friend. He was a tech whiz and had hacked into my security system earlier, installing a hidden camera to capture everything happening around my house. He'd been watching the entire confrontation unfold on his phone from my backyard. "I've got everything on tape," Jake continued, holding up his phone. "And I don't think the HOA would appreciate a little video of their president trying to steal a car to you." The shock on Karen's face was priceless, but the real bombshell came next. Jake hit play on his phone, revealing the footage of Mr. Thompson and Karen in an earlier meeting, planning how they'd deal with my Lambo. The camera had caught everything: the conversation about how they were going to remove the car and eventually sell it off to cover HOA expenses. Mr. Thompson's face drained of color as he realized what had just been exposed. "You're bluffing," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. "No bluff," Jake replied, smirking. "You've just been caught in 4K. Looks like you've got some explaining to do." Karen's jaw dropped as the reality of the situation sank in. She stepped back, her face a mixture of anger and fear, but neither of them had the upper hand anymore. The video was irrefutable. The cops were called. By the time they arrived, both Karen and Mr. Thompson were red-faced and scrambling to cover their tracks. The evidence was too much to deny, and within hours, the truth came out. They had been abusing their positions in the HOA for months, pushing people around, using their power to line their pockets. As the cops took them away, I finally let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. The chaos was over, but something still didn't sit right with me. I turned to Kyle, who had been quiet through it all. He looked at me and shrugged, a half smile playing on his lips. "You might want to watch your back," Kyle warned, his tone suddenly serious. "This isn't over. They have friends in high places. Trust me." The warning sent a chill down my spine. What had just ended could very well be the start of something bigger. The world wasn't done with me yet, and I wasn't about to let my guard down.